Let's get into the business of the day right away. But before that, let me read to you some reminders so that the talk of our guest speaker will be uh, fully understood by everyone who are attending right now. And with that, we should always put yourselves on mute mode. Okay. Number two, after the talk, there will be an open forum. Okay. But when the open forum starts, greetings and comments over the chat box will not be allowed anymore. So please refrain from doing so. The chat box will be exclusively used for your questions after the talk of our guest speaker. Okay. So when you have a question on the chat box, write your name, your club, and your position, and then your question. And our program host or our Zoom host will be assisting me in reading these questions from all of you guys so that there will be an orderly manner of conducting our open forum. Okay? So I think that should be all for you to understand. So please, again, may I remind you, everybody, please mute yourselves. So without much further ado, let me call on our past president and incoming district secretary for operations from the Rotary Club of Marikina, Dante Verano.
Thank you, incoming Deputy District Secretary, Jess Domingo. To all dignitaries led by our District Governor-elect, O.G. Suleiman, the incoming district officers, amazing presidents, fellow Rotarians and guests, good afternoon. Our speaker is a registered mechanical engineer, having completed his degree in Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering at the Mapua Institute of Technology. Quest for a higher education has inspired him as he further moved on by completing his master's degree in business administration, summa cum laude, at our Lady of Fatima University. Graduate school and doctorate degree in business administration at the Colegio de San Juan de Letran, graduate school in business. He was the recipient of the 2016 Most Outstanding Alumni Award given by Our Lady of Fatima University for his contribution in the field of business and entrepreneurship. He is presently the managing director of Antler Marketing Corporation, a local company that serves as manufacturer's representative and consultant to foreign companies in the field of power distribution and substation utilities. He also served as the concurrent as management consultant on strategic management and total quality management with Chloride Batteries, Southeast Asia Private Limited, Singapore. He is also a guest lecturer on corporate seminars of entrepreneurship, strategic planning with Unilever Philippines and Pure Gold. On the sides, he shares his passion as professor on corporate planning, strategic management, and total quality management at the Graduate School of University of Asia and Pacific, at the School of Commerce and Business Administration, the University of Santo Tomas. Our guest is a community advocate, having devoted 25 years of his professional life with Rotary International as Rotarian, and another 12 years prior to it as a Rotaractor. At present, he served the appointment of RI as the Regional Assistant Public Image Coordinator of Zone 10A, serving Rotary clubs in the entire 10 districts in the Philippines. Prior to it, he also served the other regional position as its Assistant Rotary Coordinator for Zone 10A for 2 terms Rotary year 2013, and also 2018. The task of which is to facilitate seminars, training on the Rotary strategic management and membership. In 2018, I received an appointment from RI as the Rotary International President Representative, RIPR, at the Pilipinas Rotaract Convention, the PROCON. As to his personal life, our speaker is a guardian of his marital vinculum for 35 years with his spouse, Dr. Cynthia Kabulanan Dacayo, with whom they were blessed with 5 gentlemen in the Unica Iha. Fellow Rotarians, the most sought after motivational speaker, the darling of Rotarians, and the Rotarian idol of the Philippine Rotary, proudly donning his jersey as the member of the Rotary Club of the Kawayan East of RI District 3770. He also known for his moniker, the Regal Eagle. Fellow Rotarians and guests, let us all welcome Rotarian Ramon Sedilla Dacayo.
Thank you very much, Dante. Magandang gabi po sa kanilang lahat. I am very much privileged and honestly speaking, fellow Rotarians, as of this moment, I am currently experiencing some jitters in my entire body. Hopefully siguro dahil sa occasion that I'm now back at the front of my fellow friends in District 3800, to which I am very much privileged and thankful to Governor Odi for inviting me over. Okay. Hindi ko na po pahabain. Without further ado, diretso na po tayo sa ating lecture because it's already 5:46 at baka tayo abutin ng alas 7. And hopefully matapos ako by 6:30 in the evening. Okay, sandali lang po at sikusuhin ko ang aking all right. One final check. Can you see my slides? Dante, paki-raise lang ang hand mo. I'm supposed on the share mode. Hello?
We can see. Mon, we can see.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. All right. Dali lang po, ha? Mag-asikaso lang tayo. Okay. The ability to embed rapid and nimble decision-making into the club culture will equally be important through crisis recovery and into the next normal. But managing in this new and unfamiliar environment under diverse cultural mindset demands more from resilient leaders. Our distinguished past district governors, president-elects, district officers, and fellow Rotarians, good evening. I am your resource person, Rotarian Mon Dacayo, welcoming you to our main plenary entitled Leading the New Future Back, the Value of Resilient Leadership. Last week, I had a chance to go to a local drugstore to purchase my set of maintenance medicine. Yes, you heard it right, maintenance medicine. And after going through the rituals of QR scanning, temperature check, and alcohol wash, I was then led to the next counter available. There were red 2 feet by 2 feet markings on the floor in front of each counters, implying seemingly that you should not go outside of it during transaction. Otherwise, ikaw ang taya. The counter, as you can see, was set up with a large plastic sheet separating the pharmacists from us customers. Initially, it gave me an eerie feeling that something contagious was about to explode and that either they are protecting themselves from us zombies or we are the ones being protected from their biological mini lab. So much exaggeration? Probably. So I gave her my prescription note, ID, booklet, and she started encoding those lists one by one until she runs across two items that are not available in stock in their branch. She then went back to me to explain and offer the service that they will be the ones to fetch those two items for me. And all I have to do is to sit down and for about 10 minutes and wait for it. At first, I was thinking, if I will be the one to buy those balance myself, then I will again be going through the same procedure all over again. That notwithstanding the traffic that I have to go through and the availability of parking space upon arrival. So since their service is free of charge anyway, then might as well take their offer and wait for the fetch. So I took their seat and marveled at those assorted nappies on display in front of me. Few minutes more, and I overheard probably the manager instructing the guard to immediately lock the door and not to allow any customer to come in. At first, I said, "Hey, what's going on? Is this the biological mini lab hidden at the back that is now starting to blow up? Why not let me out first? Jesus Christ." And I started to become paranoid almost instantly. My good Lord. Until two personnel, presumably cleaners, came out dressed to kill, complete with their face mask, face shield, and on with both hands wearing surgical gloves to boot. And using antiseptics mixed with alcohol, they start rubbing and sanitizing each corner of the store from floors to walls to each box and nappies on display. Out of curiosity, I then asked one of the cleaners, Boss, boss, alas tres pa lang ng hapon. Magsasarado na kayo? And without hesitation, he replied, Hindi po. Regular sanitizing lang po namin ito. 4 times a day. Wow! 4 times a day? These guys must be serious. I then said to myself, may maganda rin naman palang nagagawa itong si COVID. Isipin mo, kung hindi dahil COVID, maglilinis kaya itong mga ito 4 times a day, every single day? I doubt it. Minutes thick, wala pa yung delivery ko. But then I chanced upon one of the cleaners and I asked her my next intriguing question. Sabi ko, Miss, matanong lang kita ha, sa tingin mo kaya, pag umalis na itong si COVID, hihinto na din kaya yung pagsasanitize nyo na 4 times a day every day? Do you know what her answer to me was? Almost instantly she replied that there is this standing memo already cascaded to all branches that sanitizing procedures will now be part of their daily cleaning routine to make sure that their products are safe and clean whenever possible. Well, good job. Although the last part will remain to be seen. Guys, new normal? Probably, or most likely. This is one scenario which I assume you can very well relate to. For I bet there arise one day in your time that you have experienced the same or similar story. It may not necessarily be inside the drugstore, but it may be in a bank, a grocery store, a fast food chain, or anywhere that has a counter transaction in it. Fellow Rotarians, COVID-19 has transformed life as we know it, affecting our daily lives personally and professionally. As the world begins the slow and tedious process of learning how to reopen safely, business and communities, and even as Rotarians alike, are looking to leaders for guidance to help us navigate this pandemic with success. However, a lot of clubs have stagnated themselves on doing nothing, just hoping against hope that this pandemic will go away so that they can move on. But the thing is this, since March until now, and God knows when, we do not know when this pandemic will end. Maybe today, tomorrow, hindi po natin alam. Meanwhile, we can only pray that will it soon end. Meanwhile, segue uli ako sa story ako and I will be presenting to you another scenario. At the end of the day, pagkikita-kitain ko lahat ng story to as we move on to our entitled. Try to imagine, guys, that you are inside this particular boat. To further decipher this mindset, imagine yourself alone inside this boat, which is in the middle of nowhere, without a sail, without a motor, and without even a paddle. Just you and this boat. No, guys, I will not ask you who you want to be with in this boat, for you are all alone. Now, the question is this: where will you go? You don't have any direction. You don't even have any means to move an inch, as you are practically helpless and hope against hope that the current will bring you to shore. How long will it be and where will it be? Nobody knows, for you are practically drifting in the middle of the sea. Similarly, this drifter boat theory applies to those clubs that does not have any strategic plan, as they do not exactly know which direction they are heading and what means to reach it. A very good example to this is the Rotary Club of President. Bakit po Rotary Club of President? Kasi po, yun lang president ang nagpapatakbo ng club. Other members of which are the mother of the president, the wife of the president, and the other siblings of the president. All other members having different surnames are merely passive investors. What is the structure? Kung ano man ang maisipang project ng presidente that are not properly calendared, yun ang gagawin. Kung ano mang maisipang samahan ng isang joint undertaking with other club for a joint project, yun ang gagawin. Meron goals ito sa central but those goals are merely for compliance purposes only. This particular structure will go on year and will be passed on from one president to another, stretching its limit flat-footed until it reaches its final point of elasticity that it can no longer be stretched any further. The result of which is what I call the death of a flat-footed organization. The details of which, the name, flat organizational structure, the date of birth or date of death, June 30, 2021, malapit na po yan. The cause of death, the lack of growth, the lack of empathy, and the stalled works. Friends, this scenario is already happening in an ideal condition. We cannot imagine what structure that there might come about in the midst of this pandemic. Kasi ito pong istruktura nito, wala pa si COVID. Pag sinami ko si COVID, ito na ngayon ang mangyayari. Speaking of which, fellow Rotarians, this is what we are now in the midst of this COVID pandemic. As I have already explained in the other districts that I was beneficial to talk with, we are walking on an uncharted territory. The left side of this map is our old normal, okay, pre-COVID, where all the road works, the direction, the seas and the lands are clearly be seen by us, and we know exactly which direction we are going. However, on the right side is a blank map. This is a new normal, for we do not exactly know what is to come about tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, next week, or the week after that. We can come up with our plans and programs. We are not so sure of ourselves, and not even a rocket scientist can even ascertain that these plans and programs can be implemented. Isang baksak na regulation lang yan sa IATF. Hindi na matatrabaho ang ating plans and programs. So no matter how we do it, we don't have no choice but to structure our own roadworks. And kasama na ng sinabi ko, unless otherwise, at ito'y pinagdadebatihan na hanggang ngayon, since March of last year, unless otherwise an available, affordable, and reliable vaccine. These three components has to come into play. Wala pong ma-exempt dyan. Okay? Kailangan may availability, affordability, and reliability. Otherwise, kung wala man isa dito sa requirement na to, we do not have any choice but to embrace the reality, but to walk on an uncharted territory. Ito nga ngayon ang system. Oops, lumapas. My question is this. While some may view this strain of the coronavirus as a major roadblock or checkpoint, others see it as opportunity for organizations and civic clubs as well to have a fresh start. Forced to optimize their performance and their vision through progressive ideas and innovation. Ang problema po natin ngayon, as we see our Rotary clubs, we are now facing this particular roadblock. There are several ways wherein we can do about it. One, wait for the roadblock to be removed. Two, go back to where we came from. Or three, ito yung lagi natin sinasabi, find another route o mag-detour tayo for us to reach our destination. Whatever move that we need to do will spell how are we going to reach our size and our destination. One thing is important. Amid all these things, we have learned that even though the most difficult times, a new normal has to be formed. Wala tayong choice niyan. Tayo mismo ang gagawa ng ating customized new normal with pioneers from all walks of life leading our way. Having said, our great leaders in our club, okay, itong maaasahan nating mga leaders, has to address these short-term threats, but also engage their teams with a vision of our future. This isn't just a reminder about annual goals that we normally do on our portals every year, but rather a compelling future state that is 5, 10, or even 100 years into the future. In a very recent interview conducted with Mr. Clayton Christensen of the Strategic and Innovation Management Consultancy, Innosight, he described how being a visionary can be a learning skill. Referencing Steve Jobs and Bill Gates as visionaries, Christensen embraced a visionary but learnable mindset we call the future back, as opposed to present forward theory. To fully understand what the concept means, allow me conceptualize the idea by this infographic. Remember this? Presidents-elect, few weeks from now, haharapin na po ninyo ang inyong club central, ang inyong goal center na inyong club center. As of this year, you are currently crafting and completing your tasks that you have developed for your 2020-2021. In the next weeks to come, you will start developing your goals for your 2021-2022. And all of these tasks that you are about to conceptualize are all geared towards what you have accomplished previous year, 2019 to 2020. Para maintindihan natin fully ang concept na to, bibigyan ko kayo ng isang infographic na mapapadali ang concept ng ating undertaking. These ideas into action is where we are right now, the 2020-2021. In your term of office, before it starts, you will start crafting your goals. Okay, kung ano ang gusto nyong ma-achieve during your term for 2021-2022. Lahat nitong goals mo that you would like to achieve in concurrence to what you are undertaking right now, nakasandig po lahat ito to what you have accomplished last year, 2019-2020. Ang problema po ito. Last March last year, pumasok si COVID. Ito pong present forward undertaking na to nasira. But because of this COVID who came into the equation, all of those undertakings that were supposed to complete were not fully complemented and fulfilled simply because it is not implementable anymore. Kasi hindi tayo inaalaw by regulations of the IATF to complete the task. So doing, in our goals for the next year, the same projects that we're supposed to undertake to sustain our club projects will have to be reviewed altogether. Kasi there are a lot of them, if not some, may not also be implementable simply because the equation of the COVID-19 is still there. Similarly, kung titingnan mo itong diagram na to, the present forward thinking of strategic management plan will no longer be applicable. Simply because the basis for our actuarial plans which are geared past year cannot be used. This is where we will need to introduce the future back theory. Ano ngayon itong future back theory? The same idea. Meron ka ring ideas into action na ginagawa mo ngayon. Hindi pa rin mawawala yan. You will still encode your plans and programs for next year, 2020, 2021. But in this case, kailangan mong isama si COVID-19 into the picture. Kasi kung hindi mo siya isasama, hindi mo siya magagampanan. Ang problema mo ngayon, yung past mo, hindi mo na ngayon mai-apply. Kasi ang reference point mo na ngayon is your today's reference. Simply put it, you will now start your referencing from a clean slate. Mag-umpisa kang magsulat from scratch, from a clean sheet of paper. Yung mga bagay na hindi mo pwedeng gawin, hindi mo na may isusulat sa iyong goals and action plans. Simply because hindi ka ia-allow ng IATF. Madali namang malaman yung kung ano yon. Kasi hindi mo na siya nagagawa ngayon. Ano ba yon? Every plans and programs that you have that may entail contact, whether to your recipients or doon sa iyong mga pagdadala ng project, definitely hindi ka ia-allow ng IATF. Kung meron kang project na libreng bunot, may kontakto, hindi mo siya pwedeng magawa. Kasi hindi mo masisiguro kung kailan mawawala si COVID. Kung ikaw ay nagbibigay ng medical mission, may contact din ito. Definitely, it cannot be applicable next year. If you are undertaking soup kitchen, hindi ka pa rin makakapag-feeding. Bakit? May contact yun eh. So kung hindi ka makakapag-feeding, hindi ka rin makakagawa ng soup mobile kitchen. Kasi sa mo gagamitin yun? Hindi ka nga makakapag-feeding eh. Sa mo pagagamitin yung mobile kitchen. So these are the things that will hinder, okay, the prospects of you undertaking your projects. So you have to change your avenue. Dito ka ngayon magdi-detour doon sa roadblock na sinasabi ko. Because either you will just stay there doing nothing, aatras ka na walang mangyayari sa'yo o magdi-detour ka by changing your route to still reach your destination. How are you going to change your route is where the future back implementation will take its place. Fellow Rotarians, in the present forward concept, leaders build their organizations in increments, following the rules and procedures that work today. However, because of the COVID-19 virus, most of these plans are simply not implementable. Pati na yung binibigay sa mga manuals ng membership, manuals ng public image, manuals ng service projects are no longer implementable. I'm not saying that you cannot implement that. What I'm saying is that since these are fundamentals, of course, you can take a cue from there. But every time there is an action plan that will entail contact with your recipients, then hindi siya pwedeng i-implement simply because the COVID-19 will prevent us from doing it. So dapat tanggalin na natin sa list yan. Future back leaders in contrast visualize what their organizations could be, starting from a clean sheet, then mobilize whatever they need to bring it into being. The future back thinking does not replace the present forward thinking. It complements and completes it. Fellow Rotarians, future back is a way of thinking that allows leaders to envision the best possible future for their organization and a disciplined process that allows them to bring into being. Bearing in mind that the process of envisioning will entail major changes in the organization. Wala pa tayong magagawa. We have to change our structure to attune ourselves to the demands of this pandemic. For us to clearly understand what this resiliency is all about, okay, I am presenting to you four suggestions on how to infuse the future back thinking concept to our organization. One, what is your plan for bouncing back? Number two, how will your culture and identity change in the midst of this pandemic? Number three, what new projects do you need to launch and run and coordinate? And then number four, how prepared are you to execute your plans and projects? We started with number one. What is your plans for bouncing back? Dito na po tayo mag-i-streamline kung ano ang i-retain, kung ano ang babaguhin. Remember my story on the drugstore? Ito na po siya. Together with what I have just shared in my story on the drugstore at my opening statement, business establishments and service-oriented ventures have adjusted or starting to adjust to their new normal following the guidelines set forth by the IATF. Here we see diners setting up plastic dividers at the middle of the table and conducting cashless transactions to every each customer. Kaya kung kayo ay may balak ng magbigay ng engagement ring sa isang restaurant, huwag niyong gagawin sa restaurant kasi may separator doon. Baka di mo maibigay yung sing-sing. Similarly, hotels on the other hand do not only replace sheets every customer checkout, but also to sanitize every nook and cranny of each room during including the tubs. We hear from many organizations that have pivoted their guidelines and operating procedures just to make them responsive to their own new normal. As we start to chart our own as a Rotary Club, we also have to pivot and respond. However, our responses will differ based on our cultural resilience. Since COVID is in the middle of the equation, We should take steps now to map our probable position when the pandemic eases. Fellow Rotarians, we don't have any choice. We have to adjust. We have to come up with our new sets of plans and our new set of new normal. Otherwise, we cannot move ahead and we cannot do it simply because we are not responding actively on the requirements and guidelines of the IATF. A plan of action is a course of action pointing the way to the position you hope to attain. You had to have a plan. You should not be just a drifting boat na lulutang ka lang sa gitna ng dagat. You have to know your direction. It should explicate what you need to do today to achieve your objectives tomorrow. In the current context, the equation is what you must do to get through the crisis and go back to business when it ends. The lack of plan only exacerbates disorientation in an already confusing situation. When drawing up the steps you intend to take, think broadly and deeply and take a long view. Number two, how will your culture identity change? Isa pong mabigat na katanungan to. How can leaders overcome their cognitive biases towards the status quo on what we call the present forward fallacy? Ano po ang ibig sabihin nitong napakalalim ni English na status quo? Ito po yung cultural mindset ng mga elders natin na ayaw baguhin ang cultural dimension ng ating club to attune with the times. Ito yung normal sinasabi ng mga senior, bakit mo babaguhin ang struktura ng ating club? For quite so many decades, na-overcome natin ang problema ng mundo and we were able to live up to our expectations decades in and decades out and we are still breathing. Bakit tayo magbabago pa ngayon? Nasokom na nga natin yung mga problema noon. Okay? Kung nagawa natin, masurvive yon, masosurvive natin ngayon. Hintayin lang natin mawala si COVID, babalik din yan sa normalcy. Fellow Rotarians, let me remind you, yung vaccine na pinopropagate na yun ng mga pharmaceuticals are not there to cure us from the virus. The only means for the preparation of these vaccines is only to enhance our immune system. But it will not let this virus go away. So that means nariyan pa rin si virus maski na tayo ay may vaccine or what or not. Ang question na ngayon doon, hanarang pa rin siya sa paligid natin. Kung iintayin natin to na mawala bago tayo bumalik sa normalcy, baka hindi na mangyari yan. Because it may happen tomorrow, it may not happen tomorrow. Paano kung hindi siya mangyari July 1? Di hindi ka makakapag-meeting simply because yung status quo doesn't allow you to change. Eh what if kung umabot ka na ng December, kalahati na sa term mo. By the time you reach your March, wala ka nang magagawa kasi tapos na ang term mo, walang nangyari sa iyo. Simply because you did not adapt to the change. And because the status quo does not permit you to change. Yun ang problema sa cultural dimension. Okay? How is this cultural dimension tends, okay, to put a limit, okay, on our operations? I will provide you 3 questions that you may think and ponder as you see yourselves in your club while reading these questions. Number 1, how prepared is your organization culturally to deal with the crisis? Kayo ba'y nakakapag-meeting ng regular? Kayo ba'y nakakapag-meeting ng normal? Or there is something wrong during your virtual meeting na hindi mo magawa during your in-person meeting? Pag ito ay hindi balanced, then there is something wrong on my question number A, letter A. Question letter B. What will the ongoing situation bring your members together or drive them apart? Doon pa lang sa pag-uusap ng mga virtual meetings and undertakings, pag marami nang sumasalungat doon sa mga plans and programs na supposedly magawa nyo, then you are not in the same boat because there are a lot of people thinking otherwise. You have to bring them together in your own boat of certainty. And last, letter C, will they see the organization differently when this is over? In order to provide you a compelling assumption on how to give you a tip, let me provide you a story which was shared to me by a Rotary Club friend located somewhere in the Mindanao. This Rotary Club comprises of all female. Counterpart to ng Rotary Club of Sampaguita Grace Park kasi all female sila. There are around 37 strong membership base dito sa club na to. Before the pandemic, they are very strong both in their meetings and their service projects. Other than meeting in person, they also have this what they call the Viber group. Na they continues their communications in and out outside of their meeting. Then came the pandemic, March. Okay? Nagbago ang sitwasyon. They cannot meet in person. They resorted to meeting utilizing Viber. Kaya lang, alam naman natin ang limitations ng Viber. Hindi tayo makapag-interactive talk dyan. One-time directional statement lang tayo dyan. But since the president, transforming president, is a millennial, she introduced this concept of virtual meeting. Ang problema, yung mga elders na member, hindi techie. Hindi nila jive yung virtual meeting. So nangyayari ngayon, pag nag-virtual meeting sila, yung mga bata lang ang uma-attend and then the seniors have resulted to Viber meeting. Na mo problema ngayon si President kasi she has to bring all the membership under the one single vote. So sabi niya ngayon doon sa mga elder members, we don't have any choice kasi hindi natin alam when this pandemic will end. Meanwhile, the only means for us to meet is to meet virtually. And you have no choice but to accept the fact that this is the only means that we can meet. It doesn't matter whether we use Zoom, whether we use Google Meet, or whatever means of virtual uh, conferencing we can use. What is important is we have to meet virtually. So ginawa ngayon ng President, in order to be diplomatic, sabi niya, let's just try to create some experiment. Okay? For next meeting, we'll try to meet the usual Viber. Okay? And we discuss our agenda utilizing the Viber as our means of communication. The following week, we resorted to Zoom. And then we discuss our agenda utilizing Zoom. On the third week, then we meet again and try to assess which of those two is applicable. Well and good. Maganda yung testing and experiment na ginawa. Dumating yung susunod na linggo, yung pangalawang linggo, ito na ngayon yung pangatlong linggo. Doon sa sumunod na linggo, hindi umattend yung mga bata kasi hindi nila type si Viber. Noong pangalawang linggo, hindi naman dumating si matanda. Kasi ang may gusto lang nun ng virtual, si bata. Kaya pagdating ng third week, may problema pa rin si miyembro, si presidente. Bumalik ngayon kay Pipimon. Sabi nung presidente, ano ang gagawin ko, Pipimon? Sabi ko sa presidente, ba't ako ang tinatanong mo? Hindi naman ako ang governor ninyo. But the only tip that I can give you, we do not have any choice. Hindi mo kasi pwedeng manduhan yung mga bata at matanda to follow you. The only way for you to do is to let them appreciate the value that there is utilizing the what do you call that, the virtual conferencing. Kasi hindi nila tanggap o hindi sila chillax do sa paggamit ng video conferencing. What is important, naroon pa rin sila sa Viber. To force them to oblivion of going through the virtual, that will never happen. Nag-testing ka na nga eh. What is important, if they are happy with the Viber, then let it be. Utilize Viber at least. What is important, the old ones are with Viber, the new ones are with virtual. At the end of the day, kompleto pa rin ang attendance mo. At the end of the day, everybody are still communicated. Kasi yun naman ang importante sa atin. Because if only one member will lose communication with by all means, anuman ang means na available at hand. Pag ang isang miyembro mo na lost ng communication, ang susunod dyan ay loss of interest and ultimately loss of membership. Kaya isang problema yan sa isang club president to adhere to the demands of time, but yet again, to take care of the culture existing. Even though there is disparity on the culture existing of the club, you don't have any choice but to embrace that disparity and let the members know the positive and the negative effects of this disparity for them to appreciate and let them ride the boat towards normalcy. And hopefully, at the end of the day, everybody will be placed on board and everybody will realize which is the better alternative for them to communicate. Ang importante lang, President-elect, never lose your sight. Hindi po ginasabi ng Rotary International na porke ang miyembro mo ay hindi uma-attend, terminate mo na kagad siya. Sinasabi nga sa RI, niluluwagan na nga yan yung 50% na attendance requirement. Niluluwagan na nga niya yung service project attendance. And all the more, yung virtual requirements din ay niluluwagan na nga niya. The only requirement ang hinihingi ng RI, bayaran nyo yung dues. Okay? Kaya hindi mo pa pwedeng pagmayabang kanino man na yung miyembro mo sisibakin mo simply because hindi mo siya nakikita sa meeting. Although sa totoo lang, nasa Viber naman siya at nagpapakita sa iyo. Next, what new projects do you need to launch, run, and coordinate? Similarly, nasabi ko na sa inyo ito, hindi lahat ng projects pwede nating magawa. We have to understand and utilize what pivot means in the new normal. Ito po yung tinatawag nating doing our detour because we cannot go on a straight line simply because there is a blockade in front of our task. Hindi natin matahak yung kalsada nito kasi meron checkpoint. Hindi naman tayo po pwedeng umatras kasi nasa kalagitnaan na tayo ng biyahe. All the more, hindi mo siya dapat upuan. Wala kang patutunguhan kung uupuan mo lang siya. And the only means for you to do is to pivot your direction. Find the best route for you to change your avenue. Now, what this pivot means in our activities. Ito, yung mga bagay na pwedeng nating magawa. Marami na pong mga request na tinatanong sa akin, Pipimon, ang hirap mag-virtual. Kasi nga, unang-una may communication problem. Naroon na tayo na maganda ang signal namin. Kaya lang nangyayari, si President na lang lagi nagre-report. Kasi siya lang naman ang lagi nagpa-project. Hindi nakasama yung mga miyembro. Puro report na lang niya. Pagkatapos, papalakpak na lang sa mga miyembro simply because hindi naman siya kasama. They are not a participant on the project. Pagkatapos nun, bye-bye na. The following meeting, ganoon nilang gagawa. Meron tayong ritual, the usual observing programs, after which, bye-bye na. Nagiging monotonous na ang activity sa virtual. Notwithstanding, hindi ka makainom, hindi ka maka-fellowship. Okay? Kaya nangyayari ngayon, nagkakaroon ngayon ng tinatawag ko na virtual overload yung mga miyembro. Kasi nga, paulit-ulit na lang. This is where the challenges of you, President-elect, okay, that you have to streamline your operations starting from your meeting. There are a lot of ways for you to invigorate. Sabi nga ni Gov Ogie, there are a lot of ways for you to innovate your club meetings. And I will be providing you some examples on how to pivot your virtual meetings. One of which is this virtual tea party na shinare sa akin ng isang Rotary Club dito rin sa Pilipinas. Ano tong virtual tea party? In this particular meeting, the President asked the following members, on one particular day, yung inyong mga teacup or tea set, ilabas nyo. Okay? Pagkatapos, magpakita tayo ng mga teacups and tea set, okay, na dapat working ha. Meron dapat na tea yan. And during meeting, we toast our tea away. So siyempre, naroon na yung pagandahan. Si President, meron siyang set of prices. Okay, one, pinakamagandang tea set. Number two, pinaka-eleganting tea set. Number three, pinaka-workable na tea set. And number four, whatever parameter that you can think of. Ang prices, simple lang. Okay? Face mask that will be delivered via Grab. Isang bus of face mask. Hindi na kailangan na na mamahaling tawag nito na prices. Ang importante, merong activity that the members can look forward of doing. Lalo na yung mga tinya na nakatago sa tokador na siya mismo hindi niya magagawa, nagagamit. Now, meron siya ng means para ito ay iparada during the tea party. And you know what? Maraming fellowship na nangyayari. Nagkakabiroan dyan. Kasi nga, pati yung mga tea na simple lang, okay, pinaparada doon. Next, the pajama party. Another means, okay? Sa halip na tayo magkaroon ng meeting utilizing our club uniform, why not come up with a pajama party? Besides, nasa bahay lang tayo. Pagkatapos ng meeting, matutulog tayo. Why not wear a pajama? Pabonggahan naman ng pajama. At least, the members should look forward into. It doesn't have to be an elaborate pajama. Okay? Wag lamang ito. Kasi baka ma-martial ako yun, ma-martial ako yun ng misis nyo pagka yun ang ipinarada nyo. Okay? Pajama lang. Okay? And then prices, yung mga simpleng prices lang. What is important, fellowship can come in. Merong kwentuhan, merong mga lokohan, merong mga activities that you can look forward into. These are activities that can break the monotony of an unending monotonous activities. Ito yung that will change the barrier na magkakaroon ka na activity. Uy, meron akong pajama na bagong bili na binili ko made in something na umurong. Pwede kong iparada to. Baka makakuha ko ng 1 box na face mask. Ganong katuwaan lang. Next, Kahoots. Are you familiar with Kahoots? A lot of districts and clubs are using it. Even in school, ginagamit ko to. It is an online app, okay, na ginagawa ko to pagka ako'y may quizzes sa klase. Ipe-prepare ko 10 quizzes. Pagkatapos, I allow all my students to enroll on this session. Okay? Parang ding Zoom yan. Enter ka, pagkatapos meron akong 10 questions. And each question merong selection A, B, C, D. Whoever answers first, okay, will earn the point. And at the end of the 10 questions, okay, the person or the member who has the most number of correct answer will win. Of course, yung prizes nun, yung mga simple prizes na yon. Ano naman yung tanong? Rotary 101. Yung mga tanong sa Rotary na pwede mong tanong, kagaya ng sino ba si Paul Harris? Letter A, siya ang nag-imbento ng rocket ship. Letter B, letter C, letter D. So nagkakaroon ka ng excitement, nagkakaroon ka pa ng Rotary ideas. And then, of course, the members will look something into the next meeting kasi may activity na nangyayari. Next, okay, last Christmas, naimbita ako ng isang club na meron daw silang bingo session sa kanilang Christmas party. Okay? Ang enrollment, 2,000 pesos. Ito na yung pinaka-exchange gift mo. Kasi virtual eh. Alam niyo ba na meron na rin virtual bingo? Okay? Yung ginagawa sa mga online bingo na nakita mong pasugalan diyan. Same application ang ginagamit. But in this case, itong online bingo na to gagamitin mo sa Christmas party. Sa halip na magkaroon ng exchange gift, yung 200 na contribution mo, yung ngayon na magiging premyo sa bawat bingo na games. Na simple lang yung laro para mabilis yung takbo. So the members will look forward into na pwedeng yung 2,000 na i-contribute mo sa exchange gift can earn you more, even more pag nagpapanalo ka sa bingo games. Okay? Next. Okay? Yun yung mga projects na, yung mga activities na pwede mo magawa sa isang meeting that can enhance the fellowship aspect of your Zoom. Hindi mo kailangang maging monotonous ang meeting mo. By coming up with those alternative activities. Remember, when the first four Rotarians initiated the chartering of the Rotary Club of Chicago, their first intention is not to come up with their own service project. Ang initialization ng kanilang chartering is to have an enforcement fellowship among itself. Kasi nga, para magkaroon ng camaraderie. By and means, yun ang ating dapat na alagaan. Kasi kasama yon sa pagpapropagate ng ating mga meeting. Ano naman ngayon yung project na pwedeng nating magawa? Similarly, marami akong nababasa sa Facebook, contribution dito, donation doon, bibili ng mga prutas dito sa ng mga nito, mga vegetables and fruits sa Baguio, i-deliver at i-donate doon sa mga nito, sa mga may hirap na mga community. Wala pa yung problema doon. Okay? It is very doable and it is very easy to do. Ang punto ko lang doon, there's no impact on the project. Why? Because you can easily get money from your pocket, buy those goods, and donate it from somebody. Kayang gawin ng Rotarian yan. Okay? Kung kailangan mo mas malaking amount, apply ka ng global grant, get money from the TRF, utilize this money, buy those PPEs, and deliver it and donate it to those people in need. Madaling gawin yan. Ang question ko rito, yung impact, yung sustainability. Wala yung sa equation. Ito yung sinasabi ko ngayon na isinare sa akin na isang Rotary Club somewhere in the South. Ang tawag niya rito sa project ay plant liner ng bayan. Hindi to frontliner, kundi plant liner. Ang issue rito, the club president initiated the program kasi nga wala siyang magawa sa bahay. Ang ginawa niya, nag-urban farming siya. Okay? Doon sa likod ng kanyang bahay, utilizing yung mga used na 1.5 liters ng soft drinks, ginawa niya yon into may paso, and then he started planting vegetables. Mga okra, yung mga lettuce, okay, tomato, those things that you can think of. Okay. Ngayon, after 1 month or 2, nag-blossom na ngayon at nanganak at nagkaroon na ng prutas. Ano ngayon ang gagawin ng club president? Hindi po nyo kakainin yon. I-donate niya. Ang punto ngayon, ito. Let's just say that one club president were able to harvest a kilo of each vegetable. Kung ito donate, that is nothing. 1 kilo lang yan eh. Pero if all the members will follow, okay, yung ginawa ng club president, and you have 30 members in your club, each member will harvest 1 kilo of each type of vegetable. Then you will be able, at the end of the day, able to harvest 30 kilos of eggplants, 30 kilos of tomato, 30 kilos of this, 30 kilos of that. Pag ito i-donate mo doon sa inyong mga communities, gagawan mo ngayon ito ng isang magandang public image na streamer. Okay? Ano ang impact nito? Yung produce na dinodonate mo galing sa pawis mo. This is where the issue of dirtying your hands come into play. Why? Because the impact is there. Yung harvest na idinodonate comes from the harvest made by the CEO and the president of the club na siya nag-harvest nito. Iba ngayon ang idea and avenue na naibibigay ngayon doon sa recipient na community. Kasi ito hinarvest mo, hindi mo lang siya pinili. Wala kang ginawa. Hindi ka umalis sa club. You are still within the bounds of the requirements and guidelines of IFTF. But still, you were able to pivot yourself and your club by conducting projects, service projects that is worthy, that you can be proud of. Why? Kasi galing niya sa pawis mo. And you can be proud that you are donating something that you have harvested yourself to somebody whom you do not know and yet you give. Okay? Ito pa po yung isa. Alam po natin, yung issue nito, okay, na alam naman natin since March, ito na po yung nagiging issue ng ating face mask at ito ngayon sumusunod na ngayon dito yung face shield. Every day, supposedly ito throw away, one-time use lang to. And every time we utilize this face mask, ano ginagawa natin dito? We dispose of it. But have you ever wondered kung saan napunta yung face mask na dinispose mo? Will it goes to the proper location na ito ay mako-collect effectively at ito ay madidispose efficiently o baka ito lang ay pumunta sa isang baybayin dagat na further magkikreate lang to ng chaos. You have to understand, the face mask that we are disposing may have some remnants of the COVID virus. If we do not dispose this properly, then we stand the chance baka tayo pa mismo ang magkalat ng virus nito. So then again, there is one particular service project that we can come up with in order to answer this. Kasi you may not be able to appreciate the gargantuan tonnage of waste that we are disposing by the day dito lang sa face mask. Ano ba pwedeng nating magawa? Number one, okay, advocacy. Maturuan natin ang mga mamamayan utilizing the social media on how to properly dispose this face mask. Number two, proper waste segregation. Kung meron tayong nabubulok at di nabubulok, we can come up with another type. Ito yung mga face mask. And instead, I suggest, instead of creating mobile van, why not create a COVID-19 garbage collector na lahat ng mga nase-segregate na face mask, itong garbage collector na to ang mangongolekta. Pagkatapos bahala si city government kung paano i-displace. At least we were able to contribute kung paano i-dispose properly itong mga face mask including this face shield. May ginawa ka bang paglabag do sa IATF? Wala po, because there's no contact involved. And yet, this particular project that you can come up with is very laudable and very up-to-date kasi ito yung isang problemang hindi pa natin nasusolusyonan. Number four, how prepared are we to execute our plans and programs? Okay. Beware, presidents, you have to assess your organization's preparedness by utilizing your project plans and programs. Are you ready and able to accomplish the projects you have outlined, particularly if much of your organization has shifted to remote work? We see big differences in preparedness at the individual, club organization, and international levels. The resources at hand, along with the speed and quality of decision-making process, vary greatly, and the differences between will determine who achieves and who fails short of success. Lastly, President-elect, fellow Rotarians, as we settle in our new future, the question of resilient leadership is once again under debate. Will leaders walking into our changed future of work require different skills than we thought they would? The answer is almost undoubtedly yes. There may many definitions and examples of what it takes to be a resilient leader. You want someone who is great at problem solving, but can also balance the needs of a diverse group of club members. Someone who can keep projects on track while protecting members from burning out. Organizations have never needed solid leadership more, but the key traits of being a great leader are shifting in the face of our new reality. Leaders need to inspire and motivate even when faced with challenges adapting to life under the shadow of a pandemic. How we face our new normal will be a defining moment for us modern leaders. In closing, hopefully this pandemic will end, and as we see a brighter future ahead, take note of this share that I am about to give you. The only thing constant in our life is change. Thank you very much and good evening to all. Tapos na po. MC,
Okay, thank you
you.
very much. Inspiring. I'm sure our presidents-elect have learned so much right now. But first, let's go back to gallery view. We would like to have some picture taking. So, Eman, if you're ready, let's go back to gallery view, please. I think we have more members present now than we were before, earlier. So, can we go back to gallery view, Eman, please? Before we open our open forum.
Sir, hello. Good afternoon po. I encourage everyone po to open their cameras. Ayan po. Ayan. So, I will count 1, 2, 3 and then we have 5 pages po ng ating Zoom. So, smile lang po kayo while I'm taking the snipping shot po ng ating picture taking. Okay po? Ayan. Sige. So, mag-start na po ako. Ready? 1, 2, 3, pose. Okay, posing lang po, smile. Okay, wait lang po. Okay, smile lang po. Okay, wait lang po. Okay, last two po. And we're okay. We're done na po. Salamat po sa ating lahat. Salamat po.
Thank you, Eman. Thank you. So we're now going to our open forum. As we have stated before or earlier, those who are latecomers, let me repeat that we are taking questions through the chat box. No? Remind ko lang, those who will be writing greetings and comments through the chat box, wag muna. We are in the open forum. So what you will be writing on the chat box are questions to our topic for the day. So, if there's someone who would like to shoot the first question, please do so in our chat box. I can't see one yet, so maybe there's still typing, so we're waiting for it. Get ready, guys. Or maybe some of our incoming district officers have some questions. Please do so too. And most importantly, we would recommend that our presidents-elect will field their questions regarding our topic for today. Okay? Meron pa
Peaches,
pong...
pwede na niya i-diretso, maski na hindi na niya i-type.
Okay, okay. Pwede na magdiretso. Those who want to ask a question, just unmute yourself so that we'll have no... Anybody? Anybody who has a question, please unmute yourself. And then those who would like, those who are going to ask the questions also, please wait in line until the first one gets his questions asked and answered by the guest speaker, PP Mon Dacayo.
Good afternoon po. I have a question for PP Mondacayo.
Very good. Please identify yourself and your Rotary Club.
I am P. Brian Ligsay po of Rotary Club of Rodriguez.
Ay, kamusta sa inyo, Brian?
Ayos naman po. Mabuti naman po kami. I actually upload the presentation. Napakaganda po ng mga topics po ninyo present. It's very timely for us with the ongoing crisis that we're having, and PEs are generally preparing for COVID-related projects that might, of course, be relevant for our service projects. However, my question is related po doon sa mga clubs na katulad namin na medyo maraming mga senior. How do we best, or what are your tips po for club members or for clubs who have members who are mostly seniors and are prevented or discouraged from joining service projects that are physically manifesting, po, yung na on hand po dapat. So how do we encourage them to participate in such projects?
Alam mo yun po yun ang problema natin, no? Because other Rotary clubs and districts as outside of Metro Manila are already having their blended occasions. Kasi nga, medyo malawag na sa kanila. But then again, may minor limitations sila, but at least they were able to go out of their way doing the in-phase participations. However, strict pa rin ang requirement dito sa Metro Manila, and we cannot do anything just like that. So, whether it is a senior or a regular member or a young entrepreneur, pare-pareho pa rin ho yun. Hindi pa rin siya pwedeng i-allow na magkawa ng service project. Most especially if the service projects will entail contact. Ito nga yung sinasabi ko. Kung ito ang gagawin natin, Randolph, okay. Kung ang gagawin natin projects ay walang contact, okay. For example, donations. Pwede ka kasi mag-donate na gagamitin mo lang yung representative mo, makakapag-donate ka. Okay. These are the things na sinasabi ko. Na kung ito man senior or hindi, pagka ito may contact, definitely sarado na yon. Hindi natin magagawa yan. Kasi whether tayo ay allow o hindi, ito yung mga kondisyon na nangyayari. Remember yung usapin ngayon sa COVID na pag dumating na raw yung vaccine, 65% of those respondents na tinanong sa survey, ang sabi nila hindi pa rin siya magpapaturok. Hintayin na muna lang kung ano maging resulta doon sa magpaturok bago sila magpapaturok. Simply because sila mismo hindi nakakasiguro kung ano ba ang kahihinatnan nun. Similarly, dito sa tanong mo, are you willing to risk the lives and the safety of your members by forcing them to go out and conduct service projects na hindi natin masisiguro yung kanilang safety. Of course, nobody wants to do that. Kaya nga, dito sa Metro Manila to where we are in, na mahigpit ang requirement, we just don't have any choice but to follow. Okay? Na yung regulations. Kasi ito, hindi na natin pag-uusapan kung ito senior o hindi. Simply, we cannot just go outside and do our regular things kasi meron tayong roadblock. Meron tayong mga guidelines na kailangan sundin. But it doesn't necessarily follow na wala tayong magagawang proyekto. Kaya nga inintroduce ko sa inyo yung mga samples that you can do out of your own backyard, still being resilient and still being responsive without even going out of your harm's way. Kasi nga, kailangan natin maiangat yung safety ng ating mga miyembro, hindi lang ng mga senior. So, hindi yun natin dapat indicate, oh, ikaw mas bata ka, mataas ang immune system mo, pwede ka sumama. Of course not. Okay? Kailangan natin i-take into consideration ng safety ng lahat, irregardless of the age. But then again, sabi nga nila, there are a lot of ways to skin the cat. It's just a question of knowing what are the things that we can do without doing away with the regulations of IATF and still becomes responsive. Dito ngayon papasok yung strategic plan kasi kailangan nyo ng assistance na inyong mga miyembro. Kailangan mong dalhin sila sa bangka mo at kausapan sila kung ano ba ang idea na magagawa nila. Hindi man sila makakapag-contribute physically, definitely they can contribute logically kung ano magagawa doon because you cannot do it by yourself. There is no such thing as a Rotary Club of President. It has to be the Rotary Club of Rodriguez. And you don't have to worry, Brian. I have a lot of friends from Rotary Club of Rodriguez. I know for a fact that they are responsive and are there to give you a hand, okay, to provide you the assistance. Alam mo pare, ang kailangan lang nila, konting kalabit lang, yung konting tapik lang, na hihingi ka ng tulong sa kanila. At pag yan nakausap mo, definitely, mag-uumpisa na magsalita yan. Before you know it, baka wala ka ng oras kasi sila na mismo ang nagko-contribute. So, huwag mo bigyan ng ng segregation whether they are old or young. Bigyan natin ng halaga ang safety ng bawat isa. Wala tayong choice eh. Okay? But then again, hindi naman hinihingi ng Rotary na gumawa ka ng 20 project. Doon nga sa 25, hinihingi 13 lang eh. Diba? Simple 13 accomplishments lang. At doon sa 13, dalawang project nga lang yun eh. Sa isang taon na. Kasi alam naman nila na hindi natin kaya. What is important, okay, is for you to make sure that your members are still intact, are still incommunicado, and you are still performing the necessary functions to provide the fellowship. Yung kasi ang hinihingi nila. Kung ikaw nababato sa bahay mo dahil wala kang magawa, lalo na yung mga senior. Okay? Kasi wala silang, hindi kaya mag-TikTok yung mga yan. Okay? So asahan na lang nila yung meeting. Kung yung meeting mo wala pang valid mga variances na binigyan ko na kayo ng sandamakmak na example para magamit nyo. Okay? In order to make your programs lively. Okay? Sigurado hanapin nila yung membership nyo. Ma-intake mo lang yan at madala mo lang sila until the end na matapos itong pandemic na to. It is already an accomplishment in your part. And I'm not surprised by the time na dumating na yung panibagong citation requirement ng RI, lalo pang luluwag to. Kasi alam nila naman ng RI na hirap ang Rotary Club na maggawa ng mga activities. Kaya all the more, ang importante niyan, mark my word pare ko, ang importante na hihingi ng RI is to make sure that your members are alive, intact, breathing, and are participating in your endeavor. That's what counts more.
Thank you po, PB Mon.
Okay. That was very encouraging, PP Mon. I hope, Brian, that answered your questions. Ano lang, mag-inject ka lang a little more on imagination and, innovation in the manner and have some more minds join you so that you may be able to come up with innovative projects that you would like to do. Okay, so for next question, anybody? We still don't have. Okay. Incoming DDS, Lito Sese. Is that? Okay. Do you have a question, incoming DDS?
I have a question.
Oh, it's Garrick. Okay. Garrick, go ahead.
I'm Gary Kang from the Rotary Club of Pasig. Hi, Titimon. My question mostly revealed around during the pandemic. The key of successful projects revolved around people cooperating with one another. I also agree with you that basically what we need to do is the old people who cannot go out, but they can in a way also contribute to the success of the project. For example, they can also contribute, they can do write-ups, the young people can do the posting, can do the actual distribution of the relief goods and the likes. But one of the key success of each project that we actually uncovered is the help of other clubs during the time of distribution. For example, we cannot go to Tuguegarao because we have travel ban, but we can cooperate with Rotary Club of Tuguegarao. We cannot go to Albay, but we can have Rotary Club of Albay helping us in the distribution of our donations. So my question is, do we have a proper protocol wherein within our 3800 somehow a way wherein we can have like a SOP to say I have a project somewhere else that maybe I need the help of another club somewhere else that we can basically do, let's say, a website where we can register and get this kind of resources. And then there'll be some sort of an SOP to make it more easier for collaboration.
Diretso na kita, Gary, ha? Huwag na tayo lumayo.
Yes.
3800 na lang. Okay?
Yeah.
Kasi pagka pumunta tayo sa 3770 or dyan sa Vira Catanduanes, merong mga inter-governor tag nito, na requirement na kailangan natin daanan. Kung sabihin, kakatok pa tayo doon sa mga governor sa kabila. Pero hindi mo na kailangan lumayo eh. Lumabas ka lang ng bakuran mo doon sa paligid ng Pasig. Okay? Hindi ko lang kung ilang kayo club sa Pasig, pero umikot ka lang dyan somewhere and you can already create the collaboration. However, I don't know if you will agree with me or not. Okay? Definitely, siyempre sa isang mga speaker kasi, para makatawag ka raw ng atensyon. Okay? Kagaya din ng mga kolumnista sa dyaryo. Para makatawag ka ng mga readership mo, kailangan gumawa ka ng isang istorya na medyo, tawag nito, makatawag pansin. Yung medyo nagke-create ng mga talks, okay? Para mag-engage yung mga listener mo. Dito, ang problema sa atin dito, okay, lalo na sa mga Pasig. Hindi lang sa Pasig, mas kinakait sa ang club. Hindi lang din sa 3800. Okay, sasama ko na ang 3810, ang 3790 at 3730. Ito yung Manila, Quezon City, Makati. Aminin man ng club o hindi, matataas ang ihi niyan. Ayaw niyang sabihin na yung club niya ay mahina. Ayaw niyang sabihin na yung club niya may problema. Kasi at the back of his mind, siya kasi ang representante ng kanyang club. And being the president, he doesn't want to divulge to his classmate that his club is presently experiencing problems in either way, either membership or service project. Kaya nangyayari dyan, kung ikaw, if you are lending a hand to your neighboring clubs, nobody will respond. Simply because of their egocentric behavior that they don't want to divulge themselves to you. Okay? But the thing is this, mababasa mo naman kung sino yung actively participating. Doon lang sa Facebook, nakikita mo sino ba yung may mga nagagawang nagpo-post. The assistant governors can help you provide the necessary information as to who amongst those who are not opening their closet, hindi naman siya LGBT, but opening their closet to the boards that they need help simply because they are egocentric. Ano gagawin natin ngayon? You can, by providing assistance, kasi sasabihin, oh, big clubs kami. We are ready to provide a lending hand. Hindi yung mag-raise ng hand. Okay? Ang pwede mong gawin is to go around the bush. Okay? Partner them in your club activities. Okay? Pwedeng, ang nagiging problema lang nila, financial. You have the means, pasike. Okay? But there are maybe some talents that they have that you don't. Doon mo sila ipasok. And instead of offering your hands to them, baliktarin mo. Okay? We are need of these services. Baka meron kayong miyembro, although alam, at the back of your mind, alam mo meron, that you can partner with us. Tulungan nyo naman kami so that our project can be fulfilling. In this way, magiging maganda yung output ng ating joint undertaking. In such a way, hindi mo sila nasagasaan. And yet, natulungan mo sila. Besides, ano ba ang hanap natin dito eh? To provide assistance to those in need. Pero hindi natin sinasagasaan yung ego nila by going around the bush. In essence, at the end of the day, you will still able to accomplish the task that you want to do. Another thing, gumaganda yung avenue ng activity ng isang undertaking. Why? Kasi hindi lang Pasig ang gumalaw. Okay? Meron ding undertaking kasama yung ibang club. Dito doon sa mga nangyari doon sa Tugigaraw, sa Isabela, sa Catanduanes, kasi madaling gawin yon because there is a need that is already out there in the circulation. All you have to do is just talk to each other and provide the means to answer the need. You don't need to talk amongst yourself. Kung meron ka lang goods na gusto i-donate, kakausap ka lang ng counterpart mo doon. Madali makakuha because the need is existing. Dito kailangan mong gumawa ng paraan in order to lend a hand. But the thing is this, yun ang problema sa atin. And what I'm trying to say, if the intention is there na talagang gusto nating tulungan, okay? Huwag na nating tanungin na sino sa inyo ang gustong humingi ng kailangan ng tulong, narito kami. Nobody will raise their hands. Okay? Alam mo, and the assistant governors, alam ni Lito yan, pinagkukwentuhan namin palagi yan. Okay? Who amongst the clubs are having difficulty? And all you have to do is to go around the bush and include them in your service activities. In that way, you help them promote their activities. You were able to uplift the leadership quality beyond club level, nung club na yon at nung member na yon. And you were able to do good outside of your club simply because you extended it to another person. And that is what I can recommend for you to accomplish. At the end of the day, all of you are happy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question, P. Garrick. Anybody else? Next question, please. Just unmute yourself so that we may be able to see you on the gallery. We still have 3 days for this question and answer. Go ahead, come on. Well, actually, 3 minutes na lang. I'm just kidding. So anybody else? Next question, please. Just unmute yourselves.
To those who wish to get a copy of the presentation to get some insights and tips of what I have presented, you may coordinate GovOgi, kanino po yun? To the Office of GovOgi, I have already provided the necessary file. And hopefully, those tips that I have given you, these are foolproof. ginawa na to ng ibang club sa ibang mga district. At nag-prosper pa sila doon. They were able to make it good. And I am just sharing those achievements that they have done to you. And hopefully you were able to adopt it and make use of it in your club meetings. This will do away with the ordinary, usuals para magkaroon naman ng pagbabago and variations. Ito yung sinasabi ni Gov. Okay na innovations on both your club meetings and service project. Okay. Basta tatandaan nyo, in conducting service projects, you have to redo and rekindle your past. Ano ba dito ang pwede nyo pang magawa? At na hindi kayo uh, uh, na kayo ay pahihintulutan ng IATF. And the only tip that you can make use of as a reference, so long as there is no contact, okay, pwede siyang magawa. Technology will have to come its play. And a lot of clubs, not only here in your district, but also other districts as well, are using the technology to make use of their variations. Gamitin natin ito. We don't have any choice but to adapt ourselves to the technology. Kaya nga, yung mga webinars, kaliwat kanan eh. Yung 3780, halos linggo-linggo may webinar yan. Okay? Yung 3830, halos linggo-linggo, meron yan toktokan ang tawag nila. Kasi puro talk, okay, ang ginagawa nila. Ang punto nila dyan, they were able to propagate the information of Rotary utilizing the communication that is available. There are a lot of things that your district that is coming up with, and initially for your club, there are a lot of things that you can do as well. But the thing is, hindi lahat na maibibigay ko is applicable. You still have to check the, what do you call that, the the customs and traditions of your club, if it is adaptable or not. Okay? I believe na record po yata yung ating usapin, and I'm also making a recording for myself. To those who want to get hold of my voice again, pagkatapos po nito, i-upload ko po to sa aking YouTube channel. Yes, I have a YouTube channel, kaya hindi po kumikita kasi hindi po TikTok yon. Okay. pwede, pwede nyo ma-view uli yon so that you can have it shared. Okay. So I believe meron po recording doon sa sa side ni Gov. Ogie. And then I'm also doing the recording myself. Okay? Any other else? Meron po bang gusto magtanong? If in case na meron kayong katanungan, you can reach me on my Facebook account and state your questions via Messenger or via my Facebook. At it is open 24/7. Kaya lang yung pagbabasa ko is only 18 hours a day lang. Kailangan ko naman matulog no? Bigyan mo naman pagkakataon na makapag-Netflix. Okay, Gov. Ogie, PP Jess.
Okay. Thank you, PP Mon. Will there be anybody who will be asking for the last time, asking questions? Please do so right now. Going once? Going twice? Okay. No more questions. We are now closing our open forum. So we go on to our closing remarks. I'll be calling on. Yes?
Yung vote of thanks muna. Yung certificate, yung appreciation.
Okay. Incoming District Governor Ogie, please.
Yeah, may I call on DS Dante to read the certificate of appreciation of Eman.
Wait sir, sharing now. Sharing po.
DS Dante, can you do the honor?
Yeah, hinihintay ko pa, wala pa sa screen yung text.
There you are.
Okay. Uh, Rotary District 3800, which a team of Rotary Office Opportunities. The certificate of appreciation will be presented to Ramon Mondacayo, MDBA, Assistant Public Image Coordinator, Zone 10A, for unselfishly sharing his time and knowledge as the guest speaker on the topic, Living the New Future Back. Value of resilient leadership, simplifying the Rotary's motto, service above self, and the RIL team for Rotary year 2020-2021, Rotary opens opportunities. Given on the occasion of the President-elect's virtual pre-pitch this 9th day of January 2021. Signed, District Governor-elect Augusto C. Suliman, and yours, attested by yours truly, the Secretary for Operation.
Thank you very much, Imon, for your inspiration to our President-elect. Over to you, Jeff.
Okay, thank you very much, incoming District Secretary for Operations, Dante Verano. Thank you very much, the incoming District Governor, Ogie Suliman. We now come to the closing of our pre-patch number 3 for